The story begins with a lively party at the Casablanca resort, where Weston and Valentina are on vacation. While he is at the bar, a hooded man pulls Valentina's bag, but she holds on tight and even scratches his arm. Upon returning, Weston asks if he should go after the thief, but she says it's not necessary. After the scare passes, they enjoy the nighttime fireworks show, which is a tradition at the resort. The next day, they wake up late for the scheduled outing. The boat owner is named Ramirez and he is already impatient when a tourist named Curtis arrives, offering double the price. He is with his wife Larissa and daughter Eliza, who are very eager to go boating. Ramirez says his boat is reserved, and the situation sparks the interest of a man named Gabe. He approaches Curtis and agrees to his terms right away. As he brings the luggage inside, Gabe realizes he forgot to properly hide the boat's real owner. A Coast Guard agent named Nico passes by, notifying that a storm is approaching. He sees the family leaving on the boat Catch Me, which belongs to his friend Kane, but he doesn't know that Gabe is on the other side making a direct call. Still at the hotel, Valentina sees that she has received several messages from her boss and decides to leave her phone in the room to enjoy the day without worries. On board the Catch Me, Curtis and Larissa bet that whoever catches the biggest fish gets to choose the seat on the flight back home. Eliza is not very excited about the competition, but her dad convinces her to put her phone down for a few minutes. On the other side of the boat, Gabe disposes of the murder weapon, leaving a trail of blood in the water. The knife sinks to the ocean floor, and soon after, a frightening shadow passes by it. At the same time, Curtis gets excited by the tug on his line, and Larissa encourages her daughter to help him. Gabe takes advantage of their distraction to steal money from the wallets. The family's excitement takes a hit when Curtis pulls in the line and brings up a shark's head. The worst part is that the rest of the animal has clearly been eaten by another, even larger predator. Suddenly, the boat shakes violently, and Curtis falls into the water. Larissa and Eliza start screaming and crying, calling out for him. He surfaces and reassures them that everything is fine, but before he can reach the boat, something pulls him hard, and the water around him starts turning red. Gabe comes to see what is happening and is also terrified. Trying to save her father, Eliza ends up falling into the sea too, and the shark wastes no time. Larissa doesn't stop screaming as she watches her daughter being devoured by the predator. Ignoring her despair, Gabe tosses a life raft into the sea and begins to row away. Larissa's suffering only ends when the shark returns and swallows her whole. Weston and Valentina are just arriving at the pier. Ramirez complains about the delay and asks to see the necessary documents, since he doesn't plan to accompany them. Weston proves he has all the licenses, and Ramirez explains where the diving equipment is. He also warns them about the approaching storm and mentions there's a phone number in the cabin in case there are any problems. The trip starts peacefully until suddenly the boat stops abruptly, startling both of them. Weston says he will check what the problem is, as he has worked with boats before and will probably know how to fix it without needing to call anyone. On solid ground, Nico talks with his colleague, Margot. He finds it strange to have received a worried call from Captain Kane's wife, as he himself saw Kane's boat leaving with a family earlier. Nico expresses that he thinks it's best to patrol, and Margot says she can go in his place. On Ramirez's boat, Weston manages to fix the problem, and Valentina says it's time to dive. Planning to propose to her underwater, he discreetly puts the ring in a plastic bag. Arriving at the deck, he sees Valentina already quite far from the boat, and she takes the chance to tease him for being slow. She dives again and finds a statue at the bottom of the sea. Weston arrives just as she is taking a photo and is almost scared to death when he touches her unexpectedly. They continue exploring and observing the fish, unaware of the shark lurking very close by. Swimming among the wreckage of a ship, Valentina starts taking more photos. Weston decides it's the perfect moment and grabs the engagement ring, but the plastic bag slips out of his hand and floats to the surface. Very anxious, he swims in the same direction, leaving Valentina alone down below. She starts looking around, trying to figure out where he went, and comes face to face with the shark coming toward her quickly. The equipment muffles her screams, but her panic is evident. Swimming as fast as she can, she manages to slip into a hole in the ship just in time. However, she has no way to alert her boyfriend and is now practically trapped inside. Thinking quickly, she sets her camera to fire several flashes in succession. As expected, this enrages the shark and distracts it while Valentina escapes the ship from the other side. She reaches the surface just as the beast bites down on the camera. Weston is also there, but the two are far apart. She warns him that there's a shark down below, and Weston says he will lure it away. The dorsal fin appears very close to Valentina, almost within a meter of her, but it abruptly veers away when Weston starts banging on the hull. Instead of climbing the ladder, he bravely confronts the shark, hitting it with the oxygen tank. The creature eventually gives him a break, and both manage to return to the boat. Valentina is feeling sick and disoriented, as she surfaced too quickly. She wants to leave, but Weston says that the boat's engine will attract the shark, and it's better to wait for it to drift away first. Then, Valentina begins accusing him of having fled to the surface as soon as the shark appeared without even trying to warn her. Realizing he can't explain and keep the secret at the same time, he tells her about the engagement ring. She cries, and they are both so emotional that he decides to go ahead even without the jewel, using a plastic seal as a substitute. On one knee, he asks for her hand, and Valentina is about to say yes when something hits the boat with tremendous force, knocking both of them down. This makes Weston realize that waiting is not an option. He raises the anchor and tries to use the radio, but the boat gets hit again, and this time Valentina falls and hits her head, losing consciousness. Weston panics and rushes to help her. The shark continues to ram the hull without stopping until it manages to flip the boat and both fall into the water. Valentina is still unconscious, and Weston has to drag her to the overturned hull while the dorsal fin continues to circle them. With great effort, he manages to revive her and explains what happened. In tears, she says she can't see very well. Since this could be a result of the blow to her head, Weston becomes very concerned and says they need to call someone soon. However, her cell phone is at the hotel, and his is in the backpack inside the overturned boat. Weston starts testing her vision and concludes that she can detect movements, although not perfectly. He asks her to keep watch and lightly tap on the hull if the shark disappears or comes too close. Valentina gets very nervous realizing he intends to dive for the phone. Nonetheless, he convinces her that there is no other option and leaves her with a pipe to defend herself. He enters the water cautiously and quickly finds the backpack, but Valentina loses sight of the shark. The predator is too close when Weston returns and sinks its teeth into his leg. Valentina uses the pipe to hit the animal and manages to scare it off long enough to improvise a bandage. At least the cell phone still works, and Weston manages to contact Nico. He explains everything that happened and says they are near an island, but he can't send their exact location because the signal is not very good there. Nico says there is already a rescue team looking for another boat and will send them as quickly as possible. Over the radio, he warns Margot about the shark, and she is shocked because the last one to appear there was 15 years ago. She also mentions that she still hasn't found Captain Kane's boat. As the couple thinks the situation can't worsen, the announced storm finally arrives, and heavy rain begins to fall. Furthermore, the shark seems to be getting closer to them with every circle it makes around the boat. Valentina says she'd rather risk the water than succumb to bad luck and asks Weston to tie the boat's rope around her waist. She still can't see much and he can't swim, but the plan is to combine what each one can do. Valentina will swim to the island, and Weston's job is to pull the rope tightly if she veers off course, as she won't be able to correct her path without seeing. It's a very risky plan, but it may be their only chance, since the sound of the rain can cover the sound of Valentina's strokes. Weston teaches her how to make a secure knot and ties the phone to her. When it's time to start, neither of them knows where the beast is. Despite that, Valentina jumps into the water and begins to swim. The shark appears right after, and Weston shouts for her to stop. He rubs his dive suit on his wounded leg and throws it into the water as bait. Valentina resumes swimming.